Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the last Wednesday night hobby hangout of 2020. Wowzers, I tell you what, for all it's been a funny year, we only started doing these hobby hangouts in, was it April time, something like that? But yeah, it doesn't feel like we've been doing them that long, excuse me. Hello everybody, how are you doing? Let's see who we've got hanging out with us this evening. We have got Dirk Ignazek. Hello mate, he says howdy partners. We have a Marcus as well. Peter Koeman says he's ready for the last one of the year. Mark said he's been assembling Necrons today. He's not a lover of push fit models. Fat fingers, I think. Plenty of green stuff used for repairs. I think the trick with push fit models, mate, there's two things you can do. One is do not put glue on the bits where like the pin and the kind of the opening where they go together. Don't put glue on that bit because it basically ends up creating like a bit of a vacuum inside and you can't squeeze them closed all the way down. The other thing to do is to clip the pins a bit shorter, because essentially what you're doing is you're pushing a pin into like a socket and you're basically trapping air in the bottom. So by putting glue around the outside, you almost create a seal and it stops you putting them all the way closed. So yeah, either don't put glue on those parts or cut the pins a bit shorter. There's a little trick for you. Tony Howelden as well says, evening, doing battle with my suicidal mini again. It takes every opportunity to throw itself to the floor, chipping paint and breaking bits. Note to self, metal minis don't sit well on platforms. I tell you what, mate, I've been building up some of the Drowned Earth miniatures. Yeah, these fellas here on my desk, and we'll get them under the camera tonight. I'll show you them, and they're absolutely beautiful sculpts. But I tell you what, metal minis, I kind of forget just how heavy they are. Like I'm obviously doing Malifaux minis as well, so the plastic ones versus those metal ones. I think it's been a little while since I've done like the last metal minis I did. I think were probably for Infinity, and they're quite slight. Like they're not big chunky models, so you don't really notice the weight so much. But some of these bigger Drowned Earth ones, you really start to feel the weight on those ones. Hello to Lord Maiden, how are you doing, mate? Dirk saying there's no bacon tonight, just help yourself to a bag of cheese balls, and after that I glue the last bits of TT Combat building together. Well, I've got my my trusty bud tonight, not sponsored, and I've also got a few chocolate buttons from Christmas. You know, the giant chocolate buttons. Quite partial to those, excuse me. Marcus is baking, he's making cookies again. You're gonna have to find a way to get them cookies over to me, mate. I should never put that shot in my mouth here. Excuse me. ASDF says, I won't make it tonight. Look forward to catching the video on demand. Thank you very much, ASDF. And he says, Happy New Year to everyone not on the Patreon Discord. Yeah, I'll see you in there tomorrow, mate. Jeff Higgins in as well. Hello, Mr. H. How are you doing? Christian's in as well, saying good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. All corners of the globe. I know you can't have corners on a globe, but you know what I mean. Peter Nicholas says, hello everyone, thanks for saving a seat for me. That's it, mate, pull up a pew. Tim Kelly says, evening all, hope you're all good. Happy New Year's. Yeah, tell me about it. Connor says, good evening, nice to see you in the chat again, sir. How are you doing? Ortega says he's got his brush ready for tonight. What you painting, Ortega? Stu's in as well. Krabby's just driving home. I assume you've just finished work, mate. Hope you're okay. John Estel says, evening all, I reckon I joined in March with the Hangouts, just finished my 2 orc ships. Yeah, I think it was a bit late. It might have been a bit later than March, mate. I think it might have been April, because I certainly started doing them during lockdown. And I remember we went out for my wife's birthday into town in Newcastle and had a normal evening out. We went for food and we went for drinks and we went partying. We went to the casino. Didn't have a mask on. And I think that was around the weekend of the 16th, 17th of March, something like that. Her birthday's on the 15th, so I know it was around that time. So I assume it must have been into early April, I think, when we started these. I'll have to go back and check at some point. Dirk said he's just had the craziest, stupidest idea. Probably only funny to me, playing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes with last day's rules. That's stupid, mate. I had a thought of playing The Walking Dead with the Dead Zone rules. And kind of calling it the Walking Dead Zone and doing something with that. I thought that might be quite interesting. Tim says he's putting together some North Star nulls and randoms for Rangers of Shadowdeep and Frostgrave. A nice one, mate. Jeff said he's finished the terrain from Catacombs. And the weather was nice in Atlanta yesterday. Nice weather, mate. How I missed that as well. So it's all primed. He started on his K-Night Shadow Stalkers. There's some very delicate pieces. They're quite robust, but they look like they would snap with a strong wind, don't they? VJ saying last day of 2020 here, going to make it a good one, starting the right way early. Happy New Year, or Happy New Year's Eve to you, I should say, VJ. Hope you're all right, mate. Lord Maiden saying he's good. How are you? I'm pretty good, mate. Not too bad. We've obviously just had the announcements about all the tiers changing in the UK and stuff, so it means the gym's closed from tomorrow. I can't go to the gym anymore. Non-essential shops have to close, but other than that, I wasn't going to the pub. Cafes and restaurants are not open. Like, my little one's going to go back to nursery normal time, so his doesn't not affect her or anything like that from that point of view. It's kind of just keep going, do what you do what you can. Clint Dawson, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Tim says, yeah, he's hoping to bring 2021, bring some normality in time. Yeah, I wouldn't cross your fingers just yet, mate. I think we're probably 6 months away from seeing any normality. Vijay says, cat keeps headbutting my leg under the table. That's why I don't have pets, mate. Having young children who go to bed is a lot easier than having cats and dogs climbing all over me. Ortega says he's painting his Banasuva from Malifaux. Nice choice, mate. Lord Maiden says I'm certainly not looking at more Malifaux. I'm not trying to influence you, mate. Marcus says my cat's getting ready to kick my sister's coonhound, but the dog just keeps bugging her. And Vijay says fingers crossed, looking forward to making a better one. Yeah, I think unfortunately it's a little way off, I think, before things get back to any kind of normality. So tonight, this is what we've got on the paint table tonight. You may have seen this. I've painted. I've posted some pictures today. I did a really, really quick video of basically just of basically showing these off, so that you can so anybody who's on the fence about Malifaux minis or wants to know what's in these boxes, I showed off basically what comes in the box. So tonight we're going to focus on the doggies, these two little fellas. These are the bases that I got as well. I bought these from what's it called again? Micro Art Studios. And some of these I've got. Let me just try and focus in a little bit, because I've got manual focus on this tonight to try and stop it focus on the paint pots. So you might just be able to see there right at the front. If I can get a bit more like that. There we go. There's a little skull, like kind of down in the wooden beams and battens and stuff. And I thought it was appropriate to have the dog kind of having a little sniff around. He's this is Lord Cooper, who basically goes hunting. He happens to go hunting people, and I'm assuming that these dogs kind of help him out. So I thought, yeah, he might be just sniffing on the skull there, sniffing around. Vijay says there's something about rounded bases that just looks weird to me. I like the round lip bases, mate. I'm used to them from. They were always in Malifaux. They were always in what they called privateer press games like War Machine and Hordes. I just like them, mate. I've always liked the round sided bases as opposed to the flat GW ones. Where are we up to? Tone Master saying just finished getting caught up on The Expanse. Here to check out what you're working on. He's got his K9 Shadow Stalkers for Christmas. Get any hobby goodies for Christmas. What I got for Christmas, mate? Hobby goodies. I got this from my wife, which is the Army Painter wet palette. So I'll be excuse me. I'll be using that this evening. Let me just take the lid off that one. For those that don't know, basically it's there's a lid that comes off. Underneath it there is somewhere to store some brushes, and then you essentially have your mat and stuff inside. I've used a homemade one for a long time. It's just getting a bit of a pain in the backside. I keep cutting out the different bits and pieces, and the edge was quite deep, so I just thought it would be nice to get a proper one and see what difference it makes. Fiji says, I think I've got a 4-year-old. At least the cat doesn't ask me to wipe its butt. There is that, mate. There is that. I'll give you that one. Marcus has seen he's got his pieces. Oh, but Barry as well. Happy New Year to you, sir. Or it will be certainly in a couple of days. Marcus says he's finally found his pieces ready to start a few of the Acer-based challenge, but I'm not sure I'll get my stuff from GW in time to use for the challenge. Let's just see how it goes, mate. See how people are getting on. We can always extend it by a little bit if needs be. VG's saying, yeah, he's got the Army Painter one. Marcus says, I got more than enough to buy a new airbrush. Nice one, mate. Tony says, I think the brush holder in the lid of the Army Painter palette is a great idea. It's a good idea, mate. However, it's... Let me just show you. So the brushes that I've got kind of rattle about in them, actually. And I saw a video online because I thought, oh, maybe it's made for the Army Painter, like the kind of triangular shaped ones. And I think they're a little bit too big. I don't have any to kind of show you, but like, I mean, there's the Artis Opus ones as well. The Artis Opus ones with the tips on are too long, so they don't fit in. So it's a nice idea, but I think it's very specific. I think for Army Painted brushes, I would assume. Tom Moss says, wet palette's always a good thing to have. Once I got my official one, I never looked back. And Bob's in as well. Hello, Robert Zunk. How are you, mate? Right, let's crack on then. So I'm going to try, and I'm going to try and paint this. Oops, let me. Tony says, oops, back to the drawing board. Yeah, it's a great idea, mate, but I like to leave the little caps on the end of the brushes just to protect the bristles, and then the brushes are a bit long, so unfortunately, mate, I am stuck with this option. A mug full of brushes. So let's get this one shut up and we'll crack on. John Hedges, good evening to you, sir. How are you doing? Nice to have you with us tonight. Busey's just popped in there as well. Hello, Busey. How are you doing, mate? Hope you're well, fella. Right, let's get a bit of this on the palette. We'll christen the palette with some Steel Legion drab. There we go. Right. Did I get any other hobby stuff for Christmas? I got a new Exit game. You know, the I think those of you who have seen me on Facebook and stuff know I quite like playing those Exit games with my wife. So yeah, I got one of those for Christmas. Forget which one it is, but potentially we might play that on New Year's Eve or something like that. And I think that was it. I got like some geeky stuff. Like I got some Batman comics and things, but I got like some latte glasses, you know, like glass latte cups. So that's yeah. I'm getting old, mate. That's what it is. VJ's, Marcus is saying, I think 8 entries for Ace of Base was a little too ambitious. Going it down about a 3 or 4. That's the way, mate. Get one done. VJ says he's got $100 burning a hole in his pocket. So Armada, Arkham Horror, Mansions of Madness, Dreadball, or Star Wars Outer Rim. It's a hard one, mate, to choose for somebody else. I guess it depends upon what you like, what you want to play more. Like Arkham Horror is fine, but it's essentially a card game, so there's no hobby element to it. You can play it solo, which helps. Do you want something where you can paint stuff? Do you want something like it's just a board game where you can play it? Like Arkham Horror, you can play solo. Mansions of Madness, I think you can use the app as well to play it solo. So will that help you get more games in? I'm not really sure, mate. Tim says, love the base detail. Not wrong with the lip. Burrows and Badgers use those too. I have to get mentioned at least once, and Fox's feet are black. Yeah, I like the rounded bases, mate. Clint says, you got some cool organizer things from the dollar store. Sticking to the blackboard on his desk. They hold my paints vertically so they're nice, so they're dry nice and never touch the table. Nice one, mate. Tony says, his lovely wife, he got in the Walking Dead escape room in a box. I didn't even know that was a thing, mate. I like the sound of that. Right, let's see how we're doing. Let's see if I can try and improve my painting a little bit by using a wet palette rather than I used to just use a tile, but I must admit it seemed to dry out quite quick under the lights and stuff here with the tile. We'll see how this goes. Let's make a start on these shorts. Make sure I've got this on camera as well and get the focus. There we go. We're cracking straight on tonight, boys and girls. I'm going to try and actually try and do a decent job on these. paint to the best of my ability really, without taking sort of too long. Try and do sort of multiple thin coats. I generally do kind of more than one coat, but I'm not too, I must admit I'm not too careful sometimes. I just kind of load it up. So we'll see how it goes. Peter said he's got 160 euros burning hole. Yes. Well, I didn't get any money for Christmas, but I did get some nice gifts. So yeah, I think I said the other night I got like a new pair of boots. I got some I got some gym clothes that I can't use now. So yes, Christmas was very nice. Quite quiet, but nice and relaxed. My phone is going nuts at the minute. Message after message after message. It's not from you lot, it's like Twitter and all sorts of stuff. Fiji says, I'm talking about Arkham Horror 3rd edition, not the card game. I'm not really into primarily card games. I thought the Arkham Horror games were all card games, mate. I didn't realise it was a board game version or anything like that. Because even Arkham, like it's, what's it called again? Is it like the Dunwich something as well? I forget what they're called now, but yeah, because I've got the Arkham Horror card game. That's what I thought you were talking about, mate. I didn't realise there was an alternative. Flying Mammal, good evening, Ruth. How the devil are you? I hope yourself and Sean had a lovely Christmas. Hope you've had a nice chill time. And you got suitably spoiled with some geeky things. Just get there. Bobby Clark, good evening, mate. He's just finishing the last few models from his Harlequin. I tell you what, mate, they were looking great. Really, really nice, mate. They must have been an absolute pain to paint, though. I don't know. You must have the patience of a saint. Fiji says for mansions, what's it called again? I'm worried about the app. Don't really like playing deck box dungeon because of the app. After watching how to play, there are a lot of actions. I feel like I get analysis paralysis. If you're already doubting at me, I would rule it out. You've got other stuff that you're interested in. Just if you've got any doubts, rule it out. If you keep putting it back into the list, then there's obviously something about it that you want me. That's the way I tend to kind of like rule things out. Like if I say, oh, I'm not sure about that, so I just take it out the list. And then if I'm kind of wishing I hadn't taken it out the list, there's obviously something about it that's making me want to put it back in there. So that's kind of how I tend to rule those things down a bit. Lord Maiden says, I'll take a picture of my desk area, but I have two bedside sticky shelves. One has models ready for painting next, and one has my paintbrushes and washes. Yeah, I got one of those like letter tray things from IKEA. I think I've shown it on the channel before. And I put all my kind of like to paint stuff in there, and then I just keep them out of the way, and it stops them being scattered all over my table. I'm generally relatively tidy when it comes to kind of keeping my desk sort of in a good state to sit and paint at, because like I work here every day, so when all this stuff gets cleared away, like my laptop and stuff will go down here. So when I'm doing all those thumbnails or editing videos and things, I'll sit here as well. Obviously it's got good lighting and that. I've got the TV screen here right in front of me, so if I want anything on in the background, like my computer monitor. So yeah, my desk tends to be pretty pretty organised and pretty tidy. But getting these racks that you can see at the background was a big help, because it actually, like my paints is vertical up the wall, if you like, so it keeps a lot of desk space clear by keeping them off the desk. Mark says, when setting an airbrush, do you set the PSI when pulling back the lever on the airbrush? No, mate. You set the air when you press the button down, mate. So if you can set the air pressure, press the button down, and you'll see the needle will drop slightly. So set the air pressure whilst it's actually blowing, and that way you'll be able to set the pressure. Not that it'll make a huge difference, but if you want to set it at a very specific level, that's what I would do, mate. Press the button down so you've got the airflow. Tony saying Manchester Madness is pretty straightforward. Tony saying mother didn't disappoint this year. She got a bottle of perfume for Edward and myself and 2 strange 4 Native American furniture throws. Edward was elated. Oh, I tell you what, mate. You can't beat those wonderful family prezzies, can you, mate? Right, let's have to do the belt loops as well. I'm sure I have to go back at some point and redo these, but that will do for starters. Right. Fiji says, time to go back over his last year of daily journal entries, see what I achieved in the last 12 months. I don't do any kind of like journal entry things like that. I did buy like a journal to start writing one this year, but I must admit I never did start it. Maybe I'll start it from January and do one myself. Scott Longworth, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Fiji saying, in the end I can see both in Arkham Horror and Manchester Madness I like, so I'll probably end up buying both. It just depends on which one I want first or more. I don't know what the exchange rate's like, mate, but I don't even know how much the games are, to be fair. Scott saying, was just saying, really like the video for these in the Discord. Hopefully look forward to seeing more. Yeah, the one today, mate, was a bit of a test, really. I wanted to see kind of how it would perform, how it would come out, and it seemed to do okay. So there's things I can improve on. There's things that I kind of noticed by the time I'd uploaded it and watched it back and stuff. Things I could improve upon. Things like a bit of a voiceover, just saying how difficult they were to build, kind of what kind of material they're made of, just giving some thoughts and opinions on them. So yeah, I intend to do more of them, mate. Like I said in the comment, really, I've got like lockdowns they're not going anywhere. Let's be honest. Like me being able to play games or review kind of gameplay type stuff is a long way off. So I need to do stuff. I need to concentrate on the things that I can do, not worry about the things that I can't do. So that's certainly one of those things. I mean, whatever miniatures I get, no matter what the game is for, I have to build them. I have to prime them. So it's a good way to kind of show them off, and they're nice little short videos. They don't like nobody's having to sit for 20 minutes to kind of do like an unboxing type thing or something like that. The aim of them is just to be short and sweet, really, and just to focus on what the minis look like, really. So yeah, that's my plan, really, mate. Busey saying he got a spray booth for Christmas, didn't come with a hose. It does say, however, enjoy the fresh air on the front. Yeah, mine says enjoy the fresh air as well, mate. I didn't fit the hose on mine, to be fair, because I've never had any paint come out the back of it, mate. It basically just pulls the overspray away to the filter. The filter catches that, and then basically just takes the air out the back. I've never had any kind of paint up the wall. When I first got it, I put like bits of cardboard and stuff down the back, just to kind of see if there was any spray comes out of it, but there wasn't. So I never did put the hose on it, mate. I think as long as you're not priming with like, so you're okay with like acrylic paints like what we use. If you were using like oil-based paints, you'd probably want to vent it to the outside. So. Alright, let's get a little bit of... I think we're using a Carrick stone here, is it? Yeah, we're using Carrick stone here just to do his shirt. It's still kind of really awkward to paint on camera. People that do it like all the time, like streamers who literally paint every day and paint on camera. It's more kind of awkward because there's loads of times I want to just put it up close to my face, and you almost have to kind of retrain yourself to not do that. But the more I do it, the easier it gets. Alright, that's that. Got his shirt as well, comes down there. He's got kind of like a waistcoat type vest thing on, so we'll paint the sleeves of his shirt with this as well. What else we got? VJ saying model looks great. He's keen on naval game. Only thing not into is the humans. Wish the core box was orcs and undead. Yeah, you're going to be waiting a little while for the undead, mate, I think. I did hear rumours a while ago they're not going to do undead. So, I don't know whether that's true. I heard it on one of the podcasts a while ago, so... certainly Empire of Dust and Dwarves are the next ones coming in January. I think we'll probably see elves coming as well. I think we've seen the elf ships teased. I think Warlord are basically selling what they call Kingdoms of Men ships, which are essentially the current Black Seas ships, and then Mantic will be selling the cards for them. So yeah, I don't think there's any plans for undead just yet. No doubt if there's enough coal for them, they might do them, but I remember them saying that they didn't plan it. And then there's some lore reasons, like background story reasons, why they're not doing certain races. Like I was saying, I would love to have seen like a Ratkin ship, but I think basically they're saying that it doesn't fit with the lore in the background. Vijay says buying the core box is the same price as buying all the game components and just the orc boats. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. It's not a bad deal really if you want to get started. You could always sell the boats off, to be fair. Tim says I bought a journal for next year, hobby and paint recipe kind of thing. Yeah, I tend to like keep that kind of stuff. But I was thinking more of almost like a journal for like a life journal type thing. I bought one a while ago, to kind of record stuff, but I never really started. I'm looking for a green now. I'm deciding what colour green to go with. I want to do his vest green because I'm going to try and use green as the spot colour that ties together the whole army. I'll have to do kind of green colours, I think, on the dogs. But yeah, I'm going to do his vest a green colour. So I think I'm going to start with... Do I want to do it a little bit darker to start with? What's that one? Do I want to go as dark as that? Castellan green. I think we'll start with the Castellan green and then we'll highlight up from there. Let me get one little mixing balls to put in there. James on, good evening, sir, or good afternoon, is it? How are you doing, fella? You all right? He said he's wishing a happy, healthy New Year to all. Yes, I'll second that, mate. Happy, healthy New Year to everyone. Scott says he's good. No hobbying tonight, unfortunately. You were at work on Monday, mate? Are you finished, or are you working tonight, or you just having a chill? VGA says they're roughly between $100 and $130 depending on where you buy. I never understand the exchange rate like UK to the Australian dollar. So I don't know. I can never work out. Is like $100 50 quid, or is it like 80 quid? I'm not going to use GW as a comparison, that's for sure. Peter says, painting wise, he wrapped up his 2020 journal at 653 models. I might have to go back and see what I painted this year, really. Most of it has been kind of shown on Facebook or done on streams and stuff, and see what I actually managed to do, but I haven't got any kind of concept of how much it was. Tony says he gave up on airbrushing. I can do the pushy down thing, I can do the pulley back thing, but doing both at the same time messes with my head. Yeah, just make it single action, mate. You can take the inside out. Let me show you here. If I can get my airbrush here, I'm going to show you on camera, right? What you've got is actually not in this one, because I don't think that one works like that. But do it on this one. So in the bottom of this, if you screw that off, whoops, that bit there, if I can, oh, it's bloody tight now, of course it is. Oh, that's right. And if you see inside there, there's that little gold thing. You can get like a little pin and you can unwind that out. And basically, if you take that out, that means that it doesn't need to push down anymore. It basically just makes it single action. Oops. And that way you don't have to worry about pushing down. So all you've got to control is just the forward and back, just the airflow. To be honest, I don't even worry about like most of these airbrushes. You get very little kind of air control with this. You're far better off controlling the pressure on the compressor and just pushing it all the way down, and then just kind of feathering it back. But I don't worry about trying to control the air pressure here. I'm too heavy-handed. I'll just if there's too much air pressure when I'm pulling back, I'll turn it down the compressor. So yeah, don't give up on it, mate. Just try and find a way that works for you. Don't worry about what people tell you to do. Just do what works for you. Scott says he's just bought the rules for the friendly little game store. Is going to push them to the brink of extinction. I tell you what, mate. There's a few, isn't there, that's going to be like that. I mean, the local ones to me, they're not that local to be fair, but they've not really been able to open in gaming for quite some time. So most of them are doing like kind of they're doing home deliveries to local addresses. They're doing shipping. Like some of them don't have web stores, so they're basically just getting people to basically like a Facebook Messenger. Have you got this in? Yeah. Right, put it one side and I'll do like a drive-by pickup type thing and stuff. They're kind of coping with it the best way they can, but yeah, it's not ideal. If you use your local gaming store, like if you normally play there and stuff like that, like by God support them at this point in time, because otherwise they're not going to be there when you can game again. VGC has been doing the whole dot journal thing with daily reviews for about 15 months. Have to say I find it very satisfying. Lets me track some of my thoughts. Yeah, I tell you what. Let me see if I've got my book here. I think it's in the drawer. This is the one that I picked up. It was recommended to me. Of course, it's a bit. Let me just put that light up a little bit. Journaling reinvented for guys about putting down your goals and all this kind of stuff. It's all a bit. It's all a little bit kind of about. When I was going through a bit of a kind of like mental rough patch, that's what I got it for, basically to try and just to write stuff down, but I never got around to using it really. So maybe next year. Doesn't that like it's one of those things that you don't have to do. You don't have to use it when you're in a bad place. Use it when you're in a good place as well, so you can kind of actually sort of like see the contrast, see the things that make you happy. If you like, I'm kind of like I like that kind of mental type stuff. It's more like not like it's not. I wouldn't say it was like religious, but spiritual type thing. I kind of understand. So, yeah, so we're going with is it Caliban green, did I say that? Castellan green, sorry. Yeah, So that's what we've gone with, and we'll probably highlight this up and maybe use his neck scarf there as well, and highlight that up to a higher green as well. I'm not even going to bother trying to not paint those. I might as well come back and paint them later rather than trying to avoid them. Over the shoulders here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to get some kind of Bluetooth headphones or something to sit and put some music on when I'm sitting painting, because it's kind of weird sitting in silence and painting. I'm always used to having some kind of background noise, and it's generally not the sound of my own voice. Tony says I take far too long to paint a mini without writing stuff down as I go. It'd take forever. It's more about it's less of a problem if you're doing like single minis, but if you're doing like an army or something like that, it's really useful to write down the paint recipes. To be honest, I mean, I'm dead fortunate. 80% of what I paint, you see it on stream, so I've got a visual record of what I've done. Or if I'm doing it for like a painting tutorial or something like that, you see it like, all right, and I can go back and reference it. So that almost helps me sometimes. But yeah, I do it like for my Space Marines, to get the finish that I wanted and get it consistent across the whole army. Let me just move that light up because it's hit my paintbrush. Yeah, that's it was super useful to do that. So just need to get into there. Right, get this light down a bit. Let's have a scroll down a bit here. Where are we up to? Ortega's at a stage with the model where it looks like a big Smurf. Yeah, there's always that point when you're painting a model, mate, where you just go, ugh, what have I done? Is it time to strip it? Never strip it at that stage. You'll always make it better. It'll always come good. Nothing a big dip in, what's it called? I was going to say Devlin mud. Agrax Earthshade. Nothing a big dip in Agrax won't sort, mate. I must admit, using this wet palette certainly seems to be giving me a better feel for thinning my paints. I think I generally don't thin them enough. I think that's one of the problems I've had over the years, and I think this is kind of helping me give that feel of thinning it. What's he got over his shoulder? Is that part of his neck thing, or? Let me have a quick look in the picture and see if I can see what he's got round his neck. And see what it is. It's like some kind of blanket thing over his shoulder or something. Right, that's okay, just so I know I'm not painting it. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll paint that one a bit of a darker green. And we'll paint his neckerchief thing a lighter green. Where are we up to? Clincy, and what size brush do you find yourself using the most? I do 95% of my models with a size 3 or 2. I use a size 2 most of the time. I'm using a size 1 today, and I think it's more because I just picked up the wrong brush, but I would say 80 to 90% of the stuff I do with a size 2. Malifaux models tend to be a little bit more detailed, so I think that's why I've probably gone for the size 1 today. But yeah, so I'm using a Winsor & Newton Series 7 size 1. You can just see size 1 there. Yeah, I like the miniature series because they've got quite a short sort of tip to them. I just find I have more control over them. It's just years of using them, I think. So I just tend to find that I got more control because of that. I'm not saying that's the That's the right way. Most people will tell you to use like stuff like that with the bigger belly on them, just because it holds more paint. Like the tip is still the tip, if you like. It's still a point, so it's just as detailed, but they hold more paint. That's all. So. Right. Okay, so that's that one. I think we need a bit of a darker green. Let's see what we've got, and we'll do the darker green for the thing over his shoulder. What we got? This nocturne green. Is that? I think we might go with that one. There's another paint I've not opened yet. Vijay saying up by undead, I mean Empire Dust. Sorry, mate, I thought you actually meant the undead faction, because there is an undead faction in there in Kings of War. Vijay saying he loves the Egyptian vibes. Yeah, it shouldn't be too long, mate. I'd imagine we'll start seeing those in January, I believe. Vijay saying, yeah, good point. Hadn't thought of selling the human boats. Was thinking more of it like a human blitzball team. Come in the box so no one wants to buy a second hand. I guess it depends, mate. If somebody's just starting, I mean, have you got a friend who'd be interested in buying them off you, so that he's got something to play with you? Let me just give that a good shake. Jameson is all good there. 30 more minutes till he's off for a few days for the new year. So what's your plans, mate? I mean, I don't know what people's different restrictions are around the world. Even if you have restrictions, some people have obviously a lot less restrictions that we have here in the UK. Have you got plans for New Year? Are you going to see friends, or are pubs still open? Are you managing to get out to a bar or something and have a bit of a New Year celebration? Let me know what your plans are. Even if you're over in the UK or you're in a country where there are restrictions. What's your plans? How are you going to see the new year in? Who's having a gaming night with their family or something? Or what are you up to? What's your plan? How are you going to make the most of it? Scott said he's off until New Year's Day now. Just chilling tonight. Nice one, mate. Good one. Enjoy the break. Vijay said normally the pound is between $1.70 and $2, so I double it and knock a bit off. I didn't realise that. That gives me a rough idea then to work with for the future. James is saying he's hoping to work on finishing off the Necron half of Indomitus over the break. Bit more work on some Warriors and the Overlord, and then he'll be finished up. And basically, if you do, you take the pound price and triple it. That sounds about right, mate. Lawman, I think overall, over 200 models, Ark World Halflings, Brothers and Badgers, Northampton Soldier, Cats and Extras, Necromunda, Warcry, Malifaux, Bushido, Rumbleslam, Bad Squiddo, and Discworld. That's a good old mix of stuff, that, mate. Tony saying at Leotis, we dodged a bullet today as Leeds stayed as we were. God, my wife's shops are up your neck of the woods though, so we'll have to close. I tell you what, mate, I mean, it is what it is, but there's a couple of areas, like in the northeast, that have had higher rates, but locally where I am, it's pretty low, mate. It's been, I read something the other day that said the rates in my area were so low that they wouldn't post what postcodes were affected, because it was almost kind of like it was almost pointing to particular areas there, like almost to particular streets, if you like. So they didn't want to kind of highlight which postcodes were the ones where they had issues. So yeah, I can't change it, as I said the other night. I can't change it. There's no point getting upset about it. So I just need to kind of crack on. But yeah, I can imagine, mate, if it's your business and stuff like that. And I think the issue today was obviously just you don't really get much notice, do you? That's the problem. I'll point that bit as well. What's the focus on that like? Yeah. VJ saying, glad to see I'm not the only one who looks at an online paint job, not for colours, but to figure out what something is supposed to be. Yeah, that's it, mate. I mean, I'm trying to... It's very brown, this model on the online version. and I want to kind of use green as a spot colour, but I couldn't tell exactly what this thing around the neck was. So as you can see there, let me just move this light so you can kind of see it. I'll try and get it so it's in focus there. Actually, if I do, let me zoom in a touch, and I'll refocus it. There we go. He's kind of got like a blanket type thing over his shoulder there, and he's got a neck scarf as well. And I'm trying to work out where the two kind of. I think it's only over one shoulder. I think it's kind of like tied on there and over the shoulder. So that's how we'll have to paint it. And then his neck scarf thing will do slightly different. Let me just zoom that back in there. Get that focused. John Estel says, overall, is the Army Painter wet palette a winner? I think I'll be getting one soon. Is it a winner? It serves the purpose. Does it do anything that a homemade one doesn't do? Not really. It looks a bit nicer. It you can store brushes if your brushes are the right size. You can buy the refill packs for it, so you don't have to keep cutting up bits of parchment paper and stuff, or baking paper rather. I don't know how much the refills are, to be fair, like, so that might change my mind on that one. But you get quite a few with it. You get 2 of the sponges for the base. It's a nice size, so it's bigger than the homemade one that I had, which gives me a bit more space and stuff. I think they're only about 15 quid though, so that you're not exactly sort of breaking the bank to get them. They're not a fortune. So if you don't have one, yeah, I'd say it's worth the money. You can make them cheaper, but sometimes it's just nice to have some nice stuff, really, isn't it? Right, that's that one. I think we'll go. Oh, I'll tell you what I think we'll do. I think we'll do has he got 2 gloves on there? Yeah, I think was that a bare hand? Let's have another look on the picture and see if that's a bare hand or if that's a glove. It's hard to tell. Yeah, he's got gloves on both hands. I think we'll go with a darker brown for that one. So let's go with browns. Let's go with a Mournfang brown, I think, for these gloves. Fiji saying the only problem with the mini series is the small belly. Yeah, like I say, I don't mind that, mate. To be fair, I think it. I actually prefer it. It stops me kind of flooding the mini sometimes. Like I say, I'm not the best at getting the right consistency for thinning paints, for whatever reason that is, and having the smaller belly tends to help me not like kind of like load it up with just a big belly of water, if you like. Tim says he ordered the Artist Opus dry brush set. Email today saying it's on its way from China. Should be a few weeks. From China, mate? That's interesting, because the brushes are not made in China. I wonder if they've changed the supplier. Can't wait. Got loads of tanks and Star Wars Legion vehicles to paint. Nice one, mate. Yeah, I mean, the stuff on their channel show how to use them. Byron does a good job of demonstrating them, mate. I've got the brushes as well, to be fair, and I really like them. Some people say they're expensive, and I would say they're not. They're certainly not cheap, but they've been quality for me. Like, they've lasted well. It's funny because it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think when you spend a little bit more on brushes, I think psychologically you look after them better, which obviously then in turn extends the life of the brushes and makes you think, oh well, I got my money's worth. It's funny when you use cheap brushes, you tend to treat them like cheap brushes, unfortunately. So what I should do is get some cheap brushes and treat them like expensive ones and see if they last any better. Right, that's one glove done. I must admit, I'm really impressed with the detail on these Malifaux minis. I mean, especially these are the newest sculpts as well. So like, I mean, I think these ones only really just release at the minute. I think there might be a few kind of out and about in the wild. I know Goblin Gaming are waiting for theirs to come into stock, so they're not kind of out everywhere yet. I was lucky to get them early, but they really are nicely done. They're really nicely sculpted. There was very little in the way of mold lines when I put them together, and there's very little in the way of joins. So yeah, I've been quite impressed with them. That's that glove there done. I think we'll paint his belt the same brown as well. Again there. There we go. Right, where else are we up to here? James Bray, good evening, sir. How are you doing? Sorry you didn't get to get out for your meal tonight, mate. I know you were going to have a meal with your mate. Tony said, I tend to use Winsor & Newton size 1 standard as my workhorse, and a 00 mini for freehand and eyes. Yeah, I don't really do any freehand, mate, if I'm perfectly honest. That's more my inability to be able to do it, really, as opposed to not having the brushes. I don't think I've got like a steady enough hand really to do freehand. I tend to kind of work with whether it's caffeine related or whether I've just got a bit of a natural shake. I tend to not be that steady, and I've kind of learned to work with it really. So it's you kind of work with what you've got, don't you? Work to your abilities. Like I found my old Malifaux stuff a while ago, and I was kind of impressed with the quality of the painting that I did like years ago when I was a bit younger, because I'm going back probably 10 years ago now for the Malifaux stuff. And I obviously used to take a lot more time and kind of care and attention over it. I think the difference is I've got no idea how long it used to take me to paint. It might have took me forever. I don't remember. I didn't really have any other hobbies and stuff. I certainly wasn't making YouTube videos. I think I used to. I'm trying to think if I was traveling so much then as well. I probably wasn't traveling as much, because I think I had a different job. So, in fact, it might have been even longer than 10 years ago. Nick, thank you very much, mate. What was that? I can't, the comments here off the bottom of my screen. Let me see what it says. It says, thank you for doing these streams and uploading them, mate. I constantly go back and watch them. By the way, a lockdown motivation mini-series would be awesome. Would you please consider it? Lockdown motivation. Let me know kind of what exactly did you have in mind, mate, because I'm sure I can do something. Anything that's a good idea is good content, mate. So yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the donation. Very, very kind. But yeah, just let me know what you're thinking, mate. Scott said he's going to prime some God tier, maybe paint Grimgut and then Blackjaw. Grimgut's a nice model, mate. I like Blackjaw as well, but Grimgut's just that. It's almost got that the Great Unclean One kind of aesthetic to it. VG saying he's got the Artist Opus dry brush set. They're nice, but I like the wet palette. I can't help but think Army Painter one would be just as good and less than half the price. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, mate, I think I've not used the Army Painter ones, but I'd imagine they've kind of why they're cheaper is they basically didn't do any of the R&D, did they? I mean, the Artist Opus guys have obviously sort of like, we never used to really dry brush like the way they recommend doing it. It was always more kind of like hard edges. They've almost turned dry brushing into like an airbrush substitute type thing. So I think they spent a lot of time and kind of researching the right brushes to use and things. And then basically once they'd decided, yes, that looks about right, Army Painter went, right, we'll just sell some of them then. So I'm not knocking Army Painter for doing it. That's what every country in the world, every company in the world copies somebody else generally, once there's been a good idea. But yeah, I get the impression that's kind of why they're a bit cheaper. They've basically just went, can we have some of them from a cheap place, basically. Right, I'm tempted. What do you think, folks? I'm tempted to do that neckerchief around his neck. I was going to do it like a lighter green, but I'm considering doing it that same brown as well, just to kind of tie it in with the gloves. I feel like that kind of like that triangle feel of the neck and the hands and the strap across. I think I'm gonna do that. We can always change it if I don't like it. So, where else we have? Robertson says he's starting a new year off painting his Castellan robots for Dectus Mechanicus. Also just been informed I start a new job January the 7th. Brilliant news, mate. I saw you said you had an interview thing coming up. I know you've kind of been, however you call it, furloughed, or your business is closed or something, the one that you normally work for. So it's great you've got a new job, mate, and a bit of work and a bit more reliable. Awesome news, mate. Nice way to kind of end the year with a bit of good news, isn't it? Dirk's in plans for New Year's Eve, staying at home alone, building terrain, painting minis. Am I right in thinking, Dirk, that you'd be doing that regardless of any virus, any lockdown stuff, any pandemics? John said he's cooking curries and letting the kids stay up till 10 with some simple 40k with his son. Oh, that sounds like a good one, mate. That sounds like a good plan. As I said before, I think my wife's going to make a chili, and I think we'll probably at a push. We'll probably just we might play some board games ourselves or something. Actually, like I say, we've got an exit room game for Christmas. That takes an hour or two, so that'll kill a little bit of time. Not that we're trying to kill time, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's probably what we'll end up doing ourselves. Little one will be in bed by about 7:30, so I think we were tempted to order a takeaway, but I think the entire northeast will be probably having a similar thought, and the fact that like nobody's out drinking in pubs and stuff like that. I think takeaways might be a bit unpredictable, so I think we'll stick to a bit of home cooked stuff. Right, I think that was a wise choice. Kind of just ties it together a little bit, I think. Scott says nice early night tomorrow night as he's at work on 7 AM on New Year's Day. Yeah, it doesn't help me, does it? James is saying massive T-bone steaks and a nice bottle of red for tomorrow night. Good lady wife will still go to bed at 9, so I guess Cyberpunk. I've not played Cyberpunk in a few days actually. I need to go back and pick it up again. I'm enjoying playing that. Tony's seen his other horse working tomorrow night and Friday, so it'll just be a regular night here. Yeah, don't forget, folks, I'm going to be live streaming on New Year's Day on the evening. So if anybody is at a bit of a loose end, everybody's in lockdown and all that kind of stuff, and you've had a belly full of booze from the night before, and you just want a lazy night, we're going to be doing a live stream on Friday. I'm trying to convince my wife to do the live stream with me on Friday, so there might be two of us. If not, we might do a fighting fantasy, or we might just have a chill and a chat. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'll definitely be streaming regardless. So yes, if you're looking for some company on Friday night, I'll be around. Let's go with the Iron Hands Steel, I think. Oh, let's go with Iron Warriors. It's a bit of a darker silver. We'll do that one, I think. Let's get the little mixing bowls in those ones as well. James is saying plans for New Year's Eve, steak dinner and a game with the family at home. Next few days hoping the rain turns back to snow to get the kid out back snowboarding. I saw your picture, mate, with a little one. Did you see it was his first time snowboarding? I've never been snowboarding before, or skiing for that matter. So, yeah, it was nice to see the young one. It's nice to have for the kids to have stuff to do as well, isn't it? Let me. There we go. Lord Maiden says, would never think before this year I didn't like painting much. All that's been since March. Never in the world, mate. I had not realised that. James is saying he's in tier 4. And I saw that, mate. You skipped straight from 2 to 4, didn't you? Yeah, we went from 3 to 4, even though our numbers have been dropping. But never mind. It is what it is. I'm not going to get down in the dumps about it. So, Tony says he's got the Army Painter dry brush set, and I'm finding it a bit weird getting used to the rounded bristles. Yeah, the rounded bristles on the Artis Opus ones as well, mate. Like that one's. I quite like them, mate, actually, because it's not. I think the difference is, mate, you don't dry brush like that. You almost dry brush like that, and you literally just kind of you're only dipping the tip of it in. It's not like you kind of all the way up kind of thing. So I mean, you can still do that, but it's more of a kind of like a blend type thing. It's quite nice actually how you do it. Rob says I got all excited and got red paint all over myself. Nice one. Steve Evans, hello mate. This I'll be in bed asleep, rock and roll. Centurious Art says, hey folks, just chilling, painting some terrain. Nice to see you in, sir. I'm saying sir. I assume I'm pretty sure we've spoken before, and I know we've spoken before. I'm pretty sure you're male. I could be wrong. Apologise if I am. Mark said his friend's wife, who's a nurse, got her vaccine shot last week. So my group of friends are happy that she's safer now. Nice one. Radek, good evening, Radek. Thank you very much. The latest member. Yeah, it is you, isn't it? Yes, I suddenly thought it might not have been you. Joined my Patreon today. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your support. He says, I'm going to party hard. I'll paint the Orc Smasher and Basilean Abbess, and then I'm moving on to Cornelius Bassi for Malifaux. Probably a glass of champagne with my wife in the meantime. Do you know what it is, mate? That sounds like my kind of New Year, if I'm honest. I like that sound. I'm coming to yours for New Year. That's the kind of New Year that I would like. It's funny because I remember kind of like New Year's Eve's being. I mean, obviously this year's a bit different, but in the past I remember New Year's Eve's being a massive deal. And when it got to the millennium and it was the year 2000 and everybody tried to cash in on it, and pubs started charging you to get in, and they had massive big like sort of organised events for New Year's Eve and stuff. Like a lot of us basically at that point just went, oh god, I'm not doing that. We'll stop at home. We'll just have our own party thing. And I feel like New Year changed for a lot of people, and like a lot of people started to just stay at home for New Year after that. Like prior to that, it was a big deal to kind of go out like bars and stuff like that. And it wasn't like it kind of coincided with me getting old or anything like that. I think it was only like, what was I, 25 in the millennium. But I feel like almost just things change. So like even though I'm older and stuff, I don't think I want to be kind of in a crowded bar now, like sort of queues a mile long to get to the bar on New Year's Eve. I'd much rather. I mean, would I rather friends could come round or family could come round? Absolutely, 100% I do. But I wouldn't be going out anyway. So. I had a couple of glasses of whiskey last night watching the TV with my wife. Looked like I lived in an alcoholic's house this morning because there was a couple of bottles that were quite close to being finished. So I mean, I think I had like 3 glasses of whiskey or something last night, but I finished 2 bottles, and they weren't big glasses. There wasn't a lot left in the bottoms of the bottles, so there was kind of 2 empty whiskey bottles on the kitchen bench this morning. And it was like Oh, that doesn't look very good. I don't want to go and put them in the recycling bin now. It looks like I've got a problem. But yeah, they were just very low, honestly. Get in there and just do this metallic-y stuff. I've been reading the background actually in the Explorers Society faction book about Lord Cooper and about how the Explorer Society was created. I'm really enjoying reading that. So at some point in the future we might do a bit of a faction breakdown for Malifaux and talk about the different factions a bit more specific rather than just the total, like the overarching lore type thing. At some point, if people are interested as well, I might even go in and talk about the other side as well, which is like another game that we do. The lore for the other side ties into Malifaux as well, and it's essentially like where Malifaux's background is about how a portal opens, like a breach that goes through to Malifaux. Basically, on the other side, there's a breach opens from Malifaux where things come over to Earth, and it's kind of set like in London and stuff as well. Like one of the breaches opens up in London. So yeah, it's quite interesting actually. It's almost a case of like even if you were never slightest bit interested in the game, it's an expansion of the Malifaux stories. It's really really interesting. So yeah, and then obviously loads of other games as well. I might cover things like Mythos by War Cradle. I mean, that's kind of another kind of lore universe. I think that it'll be interesting to cover. It's the kind, like I say, it's the kind of things I can do on my own. I really have to kind of just accept that things are not going to be as I planned. I can either get down in the dumps about them, or I can make the most of it. And that's like what today's video was really. It was a case of like, I'll just try something else. I don't really do unboxing videos. I'm not a fan of them generally. I don't really watch anybody else's unboxing videos. We tend to see a lot of them. Like GW will show us something new that's coming out, and we'll see all the sprues and all the pictures online, and then they'll send it out to the channels that get stuff early, and then all we see is about like another 10 unboxing videos of the same thing. I'm just not a fan of them personally. It feels a little bit, I wouldn't say lazy content, but it's easy content to just kind of point the camera and take things out of a box. And I just thought I'd try and do something a bit different. So yeah, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We'll just keep trying. We'll see what people like to watch. So where are we up to here? Yeah, VJ Senior ones are the same design. Bob saying for him and New Year's, him and his wife are just having a drink at midnight to toast the end of a crappy year. That's the way to do it, mate. Peter says, if you want examples of blankets, look at my Garakistas. You just want me to say that again, mate, didn't you? Jim says it kind of looks like a pelt of some type under the neck scarf. Yeah, it's kind of like a neck scarf type thing, isn't it? Yeah, so I was going to paint it a lighter green, but I'm happy with the brown. Lord Maiden saying, so Army painter refilled at 2 sponges and 50 sheets is £7 to £8. The wet pallets 15 to 18. Yeah, I think it was 15 quid, mate. I got it from, I think I actually bought it on eBay, because I actually sent my wife the link for it, that's why. I got it on eBay, but I think it was from Mighty Lancer Games, actually. Scott says, plenty of videos on YouTube for making your own wet pallet. Yeah, that's what I said before, maybe. I mean, you can make them, but sometimes it's just nice to have something nice. Right. I think, what are the metallic bits we've got? We've got his sword there. He's also got a metal plate on the front of that leg as well. So it's like some kind of armor on this leg. It comes just around the front here. I think we'll go like a darker brown for his boots, and we'll use the same brown, I think, for the butt of the gun there as well. I like that metal. I've not used that metal before. It's got like a nice kind of oily, darker tone to it. I think we'll come in with that one as well. Try and not have too many different colours on it. We're going to wash it over anyway. So get them basic colours on there. We'll highlight it and stuff like that afterwards. Look at that bird. Yeah, I'm still on camera, that's what I was just checking. Back of my brush is hitting my light. There we go. Right. So far, so good. I'm going to wash this down with an Agrax as well before I kind of highlight it back up again as well. So it might look a little bit light coloured at the minute, but it will come good. I think we'll go with a bit more of the gun there as well. Just under here. And down here as well. Can I get to the bottom of it there as well? That's it. Right. Where are we up to? Vigicin, to be honest, I think Army Painter do a great service to the hobby. Very wide range of products, mostly pretty affordable priced compared to GW. Yeah, I mean, they're just cheap brushes, cheap paints, basically, aren't they? Wet palettes, like I guess they got their wet palettes after Redgrass started doing theirs. They got their brushes, the dry brush type stuff after Artis Opus started doing theirs. I've got no qualms about them, basically. They do a reasonably good product. I must admit, I don't use a lot of their products, to be fair. I've got some of their paint. I'm just kind of used to using Citadel paints, and I like that I kind of know how they'll perform, basically. But that doesn't make Army Painter bad stuff. VG said, I'm surprised they haven't come up with a contrast paint knockoff yet. I think it's only a matter of time, mate. Somebody will. James said, I like the low profile of the Redgrass palette, but I think like Dollar Store parchment paper better than their paper. This paper seems to have been pretty good. I mean, I tend to just use, in the past, I've used just this kind of stuff, baking paper. This is what I used to use. It definitely feels different. Whoops. It definitely feels different. It feels thicker, I would say. Jumping in the drawer now. It feels thicker than the Army Painter stuff, so I don't know if that'll help or make it worse or whatever. Saying, yeah, if you use brush with big well, you need to make sure you wick off your brush. But I do like having to not go back to the palette as often. Yeah. Basically, I moved to doing my base coat with a size 4 with a good tip. Yeah, I don't think I've got it. Actually, that was why I bought these. I bought these cheap brushes to use. These ones, just cheap Amazon ones, and I got them basically to do bigger, to get bigger brushes, bigger sizes. VG saying the Redgrass one's really overpriced. I'm not even sure how much the Redgrass one is, mate. Thomas says, I always struggle with water paint consistency too. Go with the consistency of milk, hence wet palettes. Yeah, a consistency of milk is never really kind of like, what kind of milk? Is it skimmed milk? Is it whole milk? Is it ultra long life milk? Or what is it? Wow, I've missed loads of the chat here. Let me scroll back to where we were. I'll just dive in here. Tim saying, my bad, not China, but backlogs of orders. Okay, sorry, mate. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they changed supplies of them, mate. Lord Main saying, do it, go Browntown. I did, mate. I went Browntown. Andrew Fairbanks, good evening, mate. He's saying, don't worry, I'm here first time this year. I'm painting while watching, trying to finish a Keeper of Secrets I started yesterday with a load of change. Mark said, I feel the only reason I can paint small details is the same reason I can shoot my bow so accurately. I control my breathing without thinking about it. I kind of hold my breath when I'm doing kind of really fine details, to be fair. Rastaman, nice to see you, mate. How you doing? Vision Harry Potter Potions expansion arrived just in time to give it to the missus for Christmas. Nice one, mate. I'm capping my stuff at about 20 to 25,000 points. Wow. Krabby saying he's looking good. He's looking alright, matey. Not bad. Tony says, I can highly recommend Immortals Phoenix Rising. Really good fun action RPG. I'll have to check it out, mate. VJ says, yes, would be great to have a co-host. Yeah, I mean, I think we should talk about my wife being on, wasn't it? We'll see. I think basically I don't think she's kind of completely against the idea. She's obviously a bit nervous about doing it. It's not really her kind of thing, but yeah, we'll see what it is. More of a drinking partner. It'll probably end up being a bit of a boozy stream, I think. Marcus is saying, I heard the character customization in Cyberpunk is completely insane. It is pretty insane, the amount of stuff you can do, mate. However, most of it's irrelevant, really, because you don't really see your character on screen all that often. So it's almost like that facade of, like, it's a really detailed character creation. Like imagine like a miniatures game where you could literally pick the bullets that you wanted. You could pick the clothes you were wearing. You could have different armor, like all those different things. And then when you play the game, the model gets the same stats. It's that kind of almost false sort of idea. Like, it doesn't really make much difference to the way your character plays. You catch a glimpse of them every once in a while in the mirror or something like that, but it doesn't change the game at all. So yeah, you can spend ages creating a character at the start, but ultimately it's not a huge difference. Christian sharing the link there for Patreon as well. Thank you very much, Christian. It looks like we're going to end the year on 111 Patreons. All the ones. So, excuse me. So yeah, it's can it be bad? Certainly more than I started the year with. So thank you to everybody that's come on board and supported the channel this year. Here's to 2021 and more of you coming on board. Right, we'll just paint this skull on the side. There's a skull here as well. I thought it was a mold line at first across that skull, but it's actually like meant to be like kind of like a strap holding it on. Right, that's that. Tidy that up a little bit. I'm painting the wrong. I'm carrying on painting there. That's not even the colour I should be painting it. That's his shirt. There we go. Just put an extra little bit of a layer on there. Right, we need the brown for his boots. Vaughan, good evening, mate. How you doing? He said he just stole his ex-wife's makeup brushes to use for dry brushes. I've got these that was a pound shop makeup brush, and that one works really well. I use that one like for scenery and that for terrain. It works really well. Dip the tip in, that's what he says, is Krabby. Yes. Right, I'm going to screw up ahead a little bit now and catch up a little bit. Lord Maiden saying, you're not the only one. It was gaming with friends until after 12 a.m. on New Year's Eve, but for New Year's Day, I will join you. Yes, mate. Tim Kelly says, bottle of Prosecco, some weird cans of IP and a movie or two. Maybe a drunken snowball fight. I tell you what, mate, there's nothing better than a bit of a drunken snowball fight. If we have snow, mate, I'd probably do the same thing. VJ said he was debating getting into Dystopian Wars, but after watching some back reps, it seems like the factions don't have much flavour. Yeah, I must admit, I don't know a lot about it really to comment on Dystopian Wars. It was a game I was interested in a long time ago, But from what I understand, it's the game now is not like the game then. So I think I'll just kind of hang fire on that one and see if the reviews are good. And that I signed up for the free rule book like everybody else did. So when that arrives, I'll be able to give it a once over. But let's be honest, I ain't playing any games anytime soon. Tony said, if you do the faction breakdown, decide to do a slow grow, could you do the breakdown first so I can join in and pick what I like, please? Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, I will do. Krabby said, I think if this pallet had better seal and a clip rather than the strap, it would be perfect. Not fussed about the brush holder, so I'd like to do away with that. The brush holder, I think the brush holder, mate, actually helps to seal the lid, I think. But I quite like the little strap that goes around it. It's alright. There's basically like a little army painter. Is that what you want to zoom in? Like an army painter strap thing goes around it. It's alright. It's not bad. Maybe I'll drink the booze. I'm just reading your comment, Peter Cooman. Yes, I'll go and I'll say it. No, I don't want to make you say Garakista, but my Garakista have Garakista blankets, so it's just normal that I recommend you my Garakistas when you talk about blankets. Oh. Where are we up to here? Third Floor Wars. Good evening, sir. How are you doing? For any of you that are looking to get a bit more information, I should say, about Malifaux, Third Floor Wars do an excellent podcast and also have some YouTube content as well. Please do check them out. It's certainly what I've been listening to recently. So, yeah, they've done some really good stuff about the Explorers Society recently as well. So, yes, please do go and check them out. And thank you for coming in, mate. Thanks for popping it by. Krabby saying she would have to be on camera. Plenty of people have partners or company out of shot. I think it's more the idea. I think, to be honest, mate, I think her main sort of hesitation is I think she probably just wouldn't know what she's going to talk about. Like, she's probably going to feel a little bit out of her depth, and I think that's the worry. But to be fair, she has been saying to me, she knows obviously that I can't get people to come and play games and things, so she has been volunteering to try and do a little bit more on the channel with me to kind of help out. So it might be a good first step. And if she doesn't like it, she can always walk away. So we'll see, mate. We'll see. To be honest, we'll probably just crack open a bottle of wine and have a natter on camera, basically. That's probably what it'll end up being. Crabby was saying there, paint that skull dark brown before the bone colour, but it'll help stand out from the sleeve. I'm going to put a wash over it, mate, to be honest. So it'll pick it out then, and if it doesn't, then I'll do what you've just suggested. So where else are we on? Tom Master says, now that sounds like a miniatures game I'd play. Crunchy rules with depth. I like Cyberpunk while simultaneously bashing it, but the character customization feels limited and superficial. It's certainly superficial, mate. That's the thing. It basically just it's there to give you the immersion of lots of choice. Like you can have this colour hair, and you can have this body type, and you can pick your genitalia, and you can pick what kind of a pubic bush you've got, and all these random things that almost feel like they're there just to purely for that kind of teenage schoolboy sort of to laugh about, but in reality they make very little difference to the game, if any. Never mind little difference. I don't think they make any difference. Certainly not what I've come across so far, anyway. So, but in saying that, I'm enjoying the game. I've not really seen any of the major bugs that people have been complaining about, but I am playing it on PC, so I think if I'd been playing it on PlayStation or something, or Xbox, I might have felt differently. But for me, it's been worth buying. Right. Now comes the hard part. I've got to do his bloody skin. VJ says, so there's a new version of Dystopian Wars coming with the free rules PDF. Would be keen to see some coverage on that, or at least your initial thoughts. So basically, mate, Dystopian Wars is coming out by the same people who make Wild West Exodus, but they've changed the rules. It's not the same rules as the old Dystopian Wars, and they basically, I don't think it's a free PDF. They've actually had a thing a little while ago, like about a month back, where you could sign up and basically they'll send you out a rule book. So that's what I've done, mate. I've signed up for a free rule book. I think there's a few people. It might have been somebody in our Patreon chat mentioned it. Good morning, Adam Edgar. How are you doing, sir? Happy New Year's Eve to you, sir. There over in the good old Australia. Hope you and the family are well, mate. And Third Floor Wars there saying, well, thank you. You are more than welcome, mate. He says, love your stuff. That's very kind of you to say so. What I tend to do is, when I've got my eyes on getting into a new game system, I tend to kind of go searching for... I listen to lots of podcasts, obviously, while I'm working and stuff. While I'm photographing stuff in here, while I'm kind of sort of painting bits and pieces. Even when I'm kind of getting ready to go to bed, I listen to lots of different podcasts. And I must admit, the Third Floor Wars stuff for Malifaux, when I was digging into that a few months back, was what kind of hooked me back in again. So I've always loved the minis. I've always loved the lore and the background and the whole world and stuff like that. But I wasn't sure whether I wanted to kind of pick it up to play again. But yeah, listening to your podcast kind of gave me that little nudge to. I picked up the Lady J box. I picked up the I think it was Rotten Harvest, wasn't it? The limited Halloween edition thing. And I picked up the rule book. I know the rules are free online, but I wanted to kind of refresh myself with all the background lore and things. So yes, it was those podcasts that got me back in. Right, and then he's got the back of his leg here as well. He's got a strap across his leg there that I think I might have missed as well. Radek says, until the 17th of December, you could order a free printed copy of Dystopian Wars. Yes, that was what it was, mate. You could have them delivered to your friendly local gaming store, but you could also have them delivered to home as well, mate. Because I got mine delivered to home, and then I got an email not too much long afterwards saying, yes, you've been accepted for the free rulebook. So I think there were some conditions, basically if you were somebody that likes to kind of complain about War Cradle Online, maybe they weren't going to send you one out or something. But yeah, for whatever reason, they deemed me acceptable. So yeah, I don't think I'll be out for a little while yet, but when it does come, I'll be able to kind of give you any impressions. The Real Tyrium, hello mate, he says, give it a like, boys. Yeah, go on, give it a thumbs up. How many? We got 60 people in and 35 likes. You lot are terrible. How very dare you? Vigi says, cool. We'll do some more flavour-filled rules for factions. I'll definitely look. I don't like them. I don't mind the minis at all. I'm not sure about the size of it. There was somebody in our group. Was it? Somebody in our group got sent one of their the miniatures, like the first plastics. And I've got no idea what size they are in comparison to things like, I don't know, like what's it called, Armada, something like that. Rastaman says, the War Cradle dudes, did they have a playtest version up for download until a little while back? Yeah, I saw that, mate, but I kind of got burned a little bit with Wild West Exodus. That when I was trying to get into it, the rules changed on an almost monthly basis. So I decided to not even kind of touch the playtest stuff. I wanted to wait until the rules had kind of settled down. Otherwise, it's worse than trying to chase 40k. Adam says, going really well, mate. Thanks. Watched the Back to the Future trilogy yesterday, so I'm in full Future Boy mode. I love Back to the Future, mate. There's nothing wrong with a bit of Back to the Future, is there? Right, I need to do a bit of Warp Lock of Bronze, which I always love. Lord Maiden says, I forgot the thumbs down again. Tissy Brain Drinks, I just got here. Give me time to click the like. To be fair, mate, if you just got here, you might not have decided whether you like it or not yet. So I will cut you some slack for that one. Let me just paint this little bit here. Give it a little bit of colour. There's me holding my breath while I get into those little tight bits. That's what she said. There we go. Right. I need to do that strap on the back of the leg, and then we're ready for a wash over the top. Radek sent a VG there saying me I'm a sucker for new interesting war games, even if I know I won't really play them. Yeah, I've got loads of like 2-player starter sets for stuff that hardly ever see stuff. Marcus is saying 80s movies are great. I'm old, mate. Of course I'm going to love 80s movies. What colour should we do? I think we'll do that like lighter brown to contrast with the boot a little bit. That's the strap for the kind of the leg plate. Right. Oh, we've got the hair to do as well. What colour do I want to do the hair? I think I kind of like him having grey hair. We'll not do the glasses yet. I think we're just going to wash over the top of it, and then we'll do that one. Lord Min says, well, I'm setting the model on fire too. Give me time to put the thing down. I'm not even going to ask, mate. I am not even going to ask. Rastaman says, yeah, for some reason, Wild West Exodus didn't call to me. I love Wild West Exodus, mate. It's another game where I think the quality of the minis is fantastic. I think the game's pretty decent. I think I love the kind of the background universe and that. But it was like a moving feast, mate. It was constantly being updated, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, the game was still in development, I guess. But the problem was you could buy a rule book, you could get a starter set with the rule book. Like the 2-player starter set, some of the models from that I think are not like in the rules anymore now. They've been kind of written out. It wasn't steady enough yet to be classed as like finished. So I'm a bit wary when it comes to War Cradle games of diving in too early. Until they're technically ready to go. It might have just been that particular one, to be fair. I'm trying to find. Whoops. That one will do. That one will do. Where was this one? Where are we up to? Clint Dawson says, for your information, I have you streaming on the TV in my living room while I pack up the Christmas tree. Not exactly hobby progress, but your sultry tones still work. I don't think my tones have ever been called sultry before. Somebody asked me if I was Irish the other day. I guess if you're not from the UK, it's probably an accent that's maybe not the most familiar accent, I suppose. It quite often gets kind of mistaken for Welsh or Scottish from people that are not like native to the UK. John says, I looked up and you were right. The first of these hobby hangouts was the 1st of April, nearly 9 months worth. They have definitely helped me paint. I think I've only missed one in 9 months. That's not too bad, is it? Oh, I might have missed 2. In fact, I might have missed 3. I think I missed 1 when I was on holiday, when I was away for a week. I think I missed 1. No, I missed 2 when me and my wife filmed the 2 Armada battle reports. And unfortunately, one of them had some technical issues with the audio, so we never got to release it. But yeah, I think that's probably 3 that I've missed. But intentionally, it's not like I just decided I can't be bothered. So, right, folks. I'm sure some of you are just screaming at me now, going, "Oh no, what you doing?" This is just how I do it. I'm an average painter. I like to just kind of give everything a nice wash, and then I'll highlight it back up from there. So it just gives it a little bit of depth. It blends in some of the some of the joins between colours where I haven't been that neat. So yeah, don't hate me too hard. Where was this one up to? VGC, I like the look of that Wild West Exodus spin-off setting. Yeah, the Lost Exodus, mate. It sounds really, really good. I mean, it's just like I say, like as you say, sorry. It's like an extension of the Wild West Exodus world. To be honest, even Dystopian Wars is an extension of the Wild West Exodus world as well. They basically call it, is it the Dystopian? They've got a name for it now. Is it called Dystopian World or something like that? That all these games are all set in the same universe. So yeah, it looks really cool, mate. I think it's just kind of been put on the back burner a little bit with everything that's going on. I think War Cradle have kind of got their hands full with a number of different things. They've just released Mythos. They've got this going. They're trying to obviously keep going with Wild West Exodus. They've got, is it Firestorm Armada as well, I think, kind of hovering around in the background. They've got a lot of plates spinning at the moment. And I think obviously with lockdowns and things like that, they've not had all of their staff in the studio. But yeah, I think they sculpt some fantastic minis, and the quality of their kind of like their resin models is fantastic. But I think sometimes the rules are maybe ready to be purchased. I don't even mind it if they're free and they're still in development, but when they're producing rule books and when they're selling rule books and they're still in development, I find that a bit weird. Where are we up to? VGC and Wild West, my least favourite theme setting though. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, mate, like Wild West Exodus isn't actually that Wild West. Yes, there's cowboys and Indians, but there's kind of like scientists and aliens and sort of like religious type cults and stuff like that. It's not necessarily old Wild West. I think it's because the original game was much more Wild West, so they kept the name, but it's kind of grown from there. So it's not necessarily a case of like it's not. Don't all be put off by the title so much, if you like. Right, let's just keep this kind of moving around. I don't want it to pull anywhere. It's starting to come in. I've left the face there. I have done the back of that leg. I probably shouldn't have done, but we'll be highlighting that back anyway, and it would be a little bit more shaded. But I think we'll do the face with the. We'll do that with the sepia wash, I think, or a Reichland flesh shade rather. Where were we up to? Peter said, you know what, actually funny, I remember saying that I can't stand Infinity because of all the funny names, but here I am doing historicals with unspeakable names from real life. I'll be honest with you, mate, it's one of the things that I've struggled with in Infinity as well, as those unpronounceable names, because they're not obviously in my native tongue. I do find them quite difficult myself. I'll tell you what, I don't like that. That's gone really orangey. Let's take some of that off. And I think what we'll do is we'll do his glasses and stuff afterwards, but the hair we'll probably keep it white. I quite like the white hair now. It just kind of balances off. I think if I do brown hair, it'll almost kind of get lost a little bit. So right, so let me show you how that's going. We'll get a little bit closer and we'll focus in a little bit. Let's focus that one. So that's where we're at, folks, so far. I'm gonna let that one dry off a little bit. I think I'll have some of my beer, and that leg needs sorting out. I don't like the way that back leg's gone, but we'll highlight that one back up again. But yeah, I'm happy with how that's coming out. I intentionally pick the colours I pick, knowing I'm going to put a wash over the top of them, because then it'll darken them down. So I always kind of pick a slightly lighter colour than I want, because then I'll highlight it back from that. So, right, let me just, we'll pop that there a second. Let me just pop the lid on my wet palette while we're sitting chatting. What time is it? 10:10. That's not too bad, is it? We've still got plenty of time. Got time to have a bit of beer. Let's go back here and I'll catch up on the chat here. Where were we up to? Sunberlane says, so what, hello by the way, nice to see you. He says, so what accent is yours actually? My accent is, I guess what most people would call Geordie, which is from Newcastle in the northeast of England. I'm not actually from Newcastle, I'm from a town a little bit further away, Sunderland, but I've kind of moved around the northeast over the years. So my Sunderland accent has kind of bled. I lived in Durham for quite some time, which kind of softened my Sunderland accent. I lived in South Tyneside, and I worked in South Shields for quite some time, and most of my friends were from that area, so my accent kind of like blended that way a little bit. I now live in Newcastle, and I've lived in Newcastle for I don't know how long now, probably 9 years, something like that. So yeah, my accent's kind of a mixture of a few different kind of sort of northeast towns. But I guess most people would call it Geordie, really. So yeah, the northeast of England basically is where I'm from, relatively close to the Scottish border. Tasty Brain Drink says, yeah, when I first started watching Andy, I thought he was Scottish, but after a few vids, I realised I was wrong and he was English. Yeah, it quite often, I think, if you're not from the UK, I think people hear that it's quite a strong accent, and they hear a little bit of like Scottish and stuff in it as well. Peter says his accent is posh. it's certainly not on me. See, I would consider posh as kind of a very southern accent, like sort of not like a Cockney sort of twang, but certainly kind of like, I'm sure where a lot of you lads are from. James Bray, I bet you've got a posh accent. There you go. He says, well posh, like visiting watching the Queens. Lord Main says, no, you're doing it wrong. You should be using your own style and not worry about others. I've never worried about others. When I was saying, I bet you're all screaming, it's not like I cared. I still did it. Vijay saying, yeah, Lost World Exodus, that's the one. John Estel says, to be fair, it's not too far from the Scottish border. Yeah, that's what I was saying, mate. Everyone British of about my age recognises the accent from the kids show Biker Grove. Yes, we'll not get into the Biker Grove chat tonight, that's for sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think of I think we've talked about this before. If there's been any kind of famous Geordies that Americans or other nations might know. Like Sting is from my neck of the woods. So Sting is from a place called from Wall's End, which is kind of it's probably about 2 or 3 miles away from where I am, something like that. He doesn't really have the accent so much now, but yeah, that's where he's from originally. So Sting's probably a famous Geordie. Brian Johnson, who's the lead singer of AC/DC, he's a Geordie as well. If you ever hear him speaking, being interviewed, he's got quite a strong Newcastle accent. I think they're probably the two most famous ones. And I guess if you're into football or soccer, you might know Alan Shearer. So there you go. There's our famous sons. Peter says Firestorm and Marder. Love the look of that game. Shame I never got into it. Yeah, I think it had already kind of died a death, I think, by the time I heard about it. Tony says Andy was actually in Better Growth. Yeah, I was very briefly. That's why I wasn't going to talk about it. VJ saying, I like that Lost World, Forgotten Isle type vibes. You should look into Drowned Earth, mate. It's got that same kind of vibe about it. Them kind of like sort of Lost World, sort of the there's been a big sort of cataclysmic episode, if you like, and nature basically starts to take over the world. Basically, it starts to grow back, and that's what the Drowned Earth is about. Peter says, love the look of the terrain fleet. V, you said, I like the Lost World Forgotten vibe. We said that one. Where are we up to? Peter said he's just finished assembling Lord Mephiston. Only took 100 minutes. I'm going for a drink. Tony said, I became familiar with the Northeast accent thanks to Arvida St. Pet. Yeah, I guess a few people probably did back in the was it probably the 80s with Jimmy Neal and what's he called? It was not Dennis Healy. Dennis was the character. Tim Healy, that's the one. Peter said he's got the original Metal Mephiston just attached to the sword. I actually converted him to a Nurgle sorcerer. Tony says, so you're really a Macam. I am, mate. I am a Macam by birth. Sunderland are my team. I'm not a Geordie by birth by any stretch, but I think it's when you say you're a Macam, people are already confused. People who don't know where my accent's from are even more confused when I say that. Radek says the unit names in Infinity are not that crazy. What's wrong with Jinko, the Shadow of Hung Dai, also known as Jing something, Shadow of Someplace? Yeah, and you wonder why I like to have cards written down with the pictures of the miniatures on, so I can go, this one here is going to do that. I don't know them by their names. Honestly, I have no idea why, but I'm good at pronouncing words in other languages and identifying those languages, but I can't really have a coherent conversation. Busey says Geordie Cockney. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been probably south of Birmingham, mate. Vijay says, I love how people in the UK move 50 kilometres down the road and their accents change and they consider it a big move. In Australia, 50 kilometres is nipping down to the shops. It's weird. I think what's interesting in the UK, mate, is that accents are very, very regionalised. Like, you don't have to move very far, and they have a like sort of so somebody from Middlesbrough, which is like 30 miles down the road from me, has a very, very different sounding accent to me. And if I go sort of 30 miles north, they sound broad Scottish. It's just the fact. It's not the fact that we kind of how far you have to travel. It's the fact that in such a short distance, accents change really kind of quite variedly. Maybe they do in other countries as well, and maybe we don't hear the difference so much. But again, I don't know. Is there different accents within Texas, for example? I know there is across the states, but like is North Texas different to kind of South Texas? I'm not sure. Clinton model looks good. Was that entirely contrast paints aside from the metals? I've been a purist and been sticking with classic acrylics. There was no contrast paints at all, mate, tonight. I'll show you the paints I've been using. I'll flick back across here. So, those are the two. Let me focus in there so you can see them. Those were the two shades I've just used. I started with... Anyway, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just pile all the paints in. We'll zoom out. Those are the paints that I've used tonight. There was no contrast paints at all, mate, that I've used tonight. I've intentionally kind of kept away from the contrast paints tonight, but that's what I've used. So we've got Iron Warriors was the silvers. We've got Carrick Stone I used for the shirt. Screaming Skull for the skull. We've got Steel Legion Drab I used for the shorts. Castle and Green I used for the vest. Warplock Bronze was on the back, which was the little thing on the back of his sword. We used Nocturne Green, was like the Garakista blanket. Rhinox Hide for the boots. Kislev Flesh for the flesh. And then Mournfang Brown, which was things like the gloves and his scarf thing and that as well. So yeah, no, I do have all of the contrast range, but I've not used any of them tonight. I decided to try and just do it all the old school way. Oh, that chocolate's kind of caught in the back of my throat. Jeff says, he's having a chat there, sorry, with Radek. Jim says, I like to think I sound a bit posh, but my family from London think I sound like a proper Dorset farmer. It's funny, isn't it, mate? Like, my family are all pretty much north. I'm trying to think if any of my family ever really had moved abroad anywhere or anything like that. I've got like, I've got an uncle who basically spent most of his life living in Farnham, so he got a bit of a southern accent. And I think I've got another uncle as well who's, I think he's kind of like Halifax, Leeds way, I think. So yeah, he's got a bit of a Yorkie accent. Tony's saying he lived in France for a bit, but they thought I was special, got the dialect spot on, but my French itself was terrible. It's funny, somebody else has told me that before, that I think if you have a bit of a northeast accent, when you speak French, it tends to sound more French. Like, it doesn't sound like you're an English person speaking French. It actually sort of, the tone of our accent, if you like, sort of sounds more realistic, more kind of like natural French. I just can't speak French somehow. It's not no. Ortega says, PG and Duncan, let's get ready to rumble. I did think of Ant and Dec, but I wasn't sure how kind of international they've travelled. Tony says, Jimmy Neal, yeah. Jimmy Neal. John Estel says, where are you from, James Bray? Everyone over here thinks I sound like a Dorset farmer. Marcus says, okay, I might make people sad, but I'm a Texan without a Texas accent. Marcus, how very dare you. Peter says, isn't Rowan Atkinson from those parts? Rowan Atkinson is from Durham, which is kind of posh northeast. So like, if you've got money and you live in Durham, you don't sound like you're from the northeast. You've got a bit of a posh accent. And then he went and didn't he go to university at like Cambridge or something as well? So yeah, he doesn't really have a northeast accent. Busey saying, someone in the supermarket had a face mask that said Scouts, not English on the front. I'm not sure why I think about that. I think Scousers definitely consider themselves a breed to themselves, that's for sure. Busey saying, yeah, check out Drowned Earth. If it has a faction that grabs me, I might jump in. I'll show you some of the minis that I've got. I've been priming some up to get ready, actually. Let's skip back across to here. Remove these paints. I can show you. I was going to do like another one of those kind of like faction type videos for the Drowned Earth as well. So you'll see these in a bit more detail. But, so we have one here. Let me just, do a little bit of focusing on these. So the reason that there's an elephant with a machine gun is because in the Drowned Earth, there's basically the people that were basically like on Earth before they had this massive big sort of cataclysmic event, were kind of experimenting on animals and experimenting on humans and sort of DNA splicing and bringing back old kind of sort of like sort of think Jurassic Park, like dinosaur DNA and stuff, and trying to reanimate it. And then there was this whole basically like, but they were keeping them down in kind of like labs and stuff. And then obviously when this explosion hit the Earth, some of this stuff basically escaped. And so basically there's a mixture of kind of like sort of anthropomorphic sort of mix of human animals as well. They're not the kind of the major races, but there's a few of them dotted about and stuff, and some kind of crossbreed type things. So this is one of them. This is from, I think this is, I'm looking at the box now. This is from the Wayfarer faction. So this is kind of like one of their big models. So there's that one. I'll put it on one side. You can see here there's a model here that has, it's kind of part bird, part human. A little bit. You can kind of see the beak and the head not there. Let me just focus that one as well. Other way. That's it. So you can kind of see. So there's that one. With the crossbow and the sword there. Then there's obviously like more human characters as well. So there's this type of stuff, kind of adventurers who are basically out trying to sort of plunder a living type thing, sort of hunting for food and trying to ward off other factions from taking over. So there's more kind of human type characters as well. We've got this one which is kind of like almost like a kind of Shaolin type character with I think it's like a bat or I think it's like a mini pterodactyl type thing, like sitting on the end of his weapon there, which is pretty cool. These are all metal models as well, actually. Just should see that. And then we've got this one as well. So this is like those 5 models there basically come from one starter faction box. Just and they're really nice quality. They're lovely sculpts. So yeah, I'll be doing that. I'm basically this is what I'm doing in the background. So kind of during the days and stuff when you don't see me, I'm building these up. I'm priming them. I'm prepping them, getting them ready to get them painted, so that I can do more like sort of how to play type videos, introductions to games, showcase video type things. So that basically when I'm ready to play games again, I've got some interesting stuff in the background. I've also got another faction for them that I'm busy painting. So there's things like this one's waiting for its zenithal highlight, but it's kind of like a gorilla with an axe. There's that one. What else we got? There's things like these kind of things as well. You can't see them so well when they're black, but once I've got a little bit of zenithal prime on them and stuff, you'll be able to see them better. But yeah, and this is just cork that I've put on the bases. Because they're metal, I like to kind of pin the feet, and I find that putting a nice long pin into the cork makes a big difference. So there you're that's the kind of type of things. And then there's there's models like this kind of thing as well, just kind of like just like warrior type models and things. So yeah, there's some beautiful stuff in there, but we'll that's something else we'll touch on when I get a bit further down the line with those. Excuse me, for that chocolate got stuck right in the bottom of my throat, and my throat's really dry now. Where are we up to? Tanuka D, hello, says, well, what's the verdict on current Malifaux? I've not played the newish edition. I've not had a chance to play it yet, mate. I absolutely love the models. I've read the rules. I've kind of moved a few things around on a board on my own because I can't get to play games at the minute. And it all seems to click. It's familiar enough from when I used to play a first edition. I think it streamlined a lot of what second edition did. So second edition included a lot of upgrades and things, which has been taken out now. It generally just seems a pretty solid game now. John saying he was brought up in Poole and moved from Christchurch 6 years ago. Relic says, drowned earth, don't tempt me, damn it. Yeah, I've got quite a bit of drowned earth stuff here. I've got some dinosaurs as well to paint up and things. I've also got the rule book to have a look through. So, and as I mentioned on Monday night's live stream as well, I've got all my Dead Zone terrain, which I'm gonna buy some what they called aquarium plants and stuff. And I'm going to use that to kind of dress up and make it look like kind of the Earth's coming back and taking over kind of buildings and stuff. I think that'll look nice. Marcus says, saying you can swear in German. Radix says, by the way, anyone here tried Warcaster? I'm close to ordering 2 stars to check it out. The spawning mechanism sounds really good. It didn't really grab me, mate, I'll be perfectly honest. When I was watching the playthroughs that I saw on the Privately Oppressed streams, it didn't really grab me initially. But I'm kind of willing to kind of have a second look at it. It just there's some nice minis in the range. It just didn't feel hugely different. But yeah, I'm going by watching one playthrough. Tony saying, I can't talk, I'm a monkey hanger. I knew you were kind of a bit further north, mate, than where you are now, that's for sure. Krabby says, Paul Anderson is from Wall's End as well, directed Alien vs. Predator and Mortal Kombat movies. I forgot about that, wait. I tell you who else is also the, what's he called, Ridley Scott and Tony Scott as well. His brother are from the northeast as well. Krabby says, Rowan Atkinson's from Durham as well, yeah. Summerlin says, thanks, I didn't know about the Northern English accents that well. I only recognised that it was not Scottish. Yeah, it's kind of, like... I think if you go way back, like we probably would have been considered almost Scottish as opposed to English, really, with that far north. Peter says, funny, my wife lived 10 kilometres from me, and when I first said the word we used for sidewalk, she didn't even understand me. Bit of chat. Where's where are we up to here? I've just jumped to the top of my screen there. Let me just scroll back and find out where it was. I'll just dive in here. Tasty Brain Drain says, people in the northwest part of the state tend to sound like they're from Texas. Many people from New Orleans sound like they're from the north. A lot of them sound like they're from Brooklyn. I wonder if it's like noticeable to somebody like from the other side of the world kind of thing. I wonder if I would notice the difference. Clint says, I'm on the west coast of Canada. Everyone here says they don't have an accent, which is like saying you're typing without a font. Definitely not as distinct as the rural Saskatchewan or Atlantic Canada. It's funny. I mean, I can pick up some different Canadian accents. I couldn't tell you where they were from. I mean, there's definitely kind of like a French Canadian kind of twang, and then you've got like you've got Canadian, which sounds almost American, and then you've got the almost the stereotypical South Park Canadian of a boot and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely Canadian accents that I've heard, but I couldn't locate them, if you like. I couldn't tell you where they're from. Tony said, everyone seems to think I sound posh, but I was brought up in Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire. You are posh, mate. That's what it is. James says, that's a cool looking elephant. Reminds me of the Elephant Men comic book series from Image. Yeah, it's pretty. It's just a bit different, isn't it? It's nice to have like different things to paint. It's I mean, there's all sorts of mixtures and stuff. Like I say, there's dinosaurs as well, and then there's things like that kind of. Like I say, these are just these are just black primed at the minute, but like I say, so you can see it's got like a kind of like a lens on the eye there as well. Obviously, like it's got like a backpack on where it's grown a plant, some kind of plant for food, where she carries it around on her back. It's pretty cool. The mechanics are good for the game as well. Actually, you basically roll 2 d10s, and if you succeed on one of the d10s, you've passed the thing that you need to do. If you succeed on both d10s, it's what's called nailed it, basically. So you've like double passed it, and you get like a little bit of a bonus for doing that. It's quite a nice system that I've not seen anywhere else, to be honest. Marcus says, funny enough, when I was talking, Peter was saying, sorry, wow, I think I know the Brooklyn accent. It's very different to other Americans in my ear. I can definitely pick out certain, like, there's very stereotypical accents. So basically, like, you've got the kind of, like, the southern kind of Louisiana states. You've got Texas. You've got the kind of, the New York kind of, like, Brooklyn accent. Then you've got things like Boston. So there's certain accents that are very, very kind of, like, familiar, if you like. But I think we probably hear the movie versions, if you like, the very broad ones. Marcus is saying, funny enough, when I was talking French at college, at first the teaching students thought I was French foreign exchange student because of the way I look and dress, until I spoke and found out I was local. Was it the onions round your neck, mate? Was it in the beret? Did I give it away? Ortega says, interesting things about the Wayfarers as they are all designed by Kickstarter backers. I didn't realise that, mate. Krabby says, elephants with guns is just too far-fetched for me. As opposed to Space Marines with 2 hearts and all made from the same gene seed. VG says, but is that elephant just one character, or is it elephants a faction you can have? No, it's just one character, mate, to be fair. So basically, they're check out the website, you'll see the stuff in more detail. But essentially, it's not like... They're not broken down into factions like all those models I showed you there with the kind of Zenithal Primon were all from one faction. It's almost like bands of people pulling together. It's almost like there's certain kind of traits to them and things, but it's not like an elephant faction, a gorilla faction, or anything like that. Adam, seen your painting and basing is posh, Tony Howell. It bloody is as well, mate. Tanuka D says Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah, that's probably a good way to explain it. Very much that kind of Island of Dr. Moreau. James DW says, wow, those sculpts are awesome. They're really, really crisp. Like I say, that they're metal minis, and like I'm so used to kind of playing with plastic stuff. It's weird to pick like that elephant model. Like has quite some weight to it. Actually, it's quite satisfying to kind of move it around. But I must admit, those like the where the hell's the model I'm painting tonight? I can't even see it anymore out there. These red grass handles are no good for those heavy metal minis, especially the bigger ones. VJ saying, what about crabs and keyboards? Daisy Braindrin says, and then you have those that live in the southwest portion of the state who have a Cajun accent, and that for that think less Gambit from 90s X-Men, more Doc Rowe from Band of Brothers. Yeah, I think of a really kind of like southern drawl as well, of like Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained. That kind of southern accent as well. Is that like Louisiana, I think, is it? Peter says, reminds me of the moment in Crocodile Dundee when the poachers saw a kangaroo shooting back. Peter says the Rebs from Dead Zone have some nice Simian models. Yeah, they do actually, don't they? They do. Is it like Simian Prime or something it's called? Where was that? Radak was just saying something there. He says, just saying Drowned Earth has very low barrier to entry. There's just a handful of models in each faction. No model bloat. You do need a lot of terrain though. Yeah, you do need a lot of terrain. And I think I would liken it to something like Dead Zone, or I'd liken it to something like Infinity when it comes to terrain. You do need quite a lot of stuff on the tabletop. But you're right, as a game itself, the rules are free online, the cards are all online as well, I think. So again, it's an easy entry point. Where were we up to? Peter Nicholas just randomly shouting cowboy there. Lord Maiden says, so did I give Mali 3rd edition a go before? So I did give, a lot less cluttered, card size and condition wise, more focused on objectives and schemes. It felt good. It felt like the start of second should have been. Yeah, from what I've read and from what I've tried myself, it feels like a better version of first edition, and I loved first edition. George is saying, evening, just back from work an hour ago, cleared part of the games table in the shed today, so hopefully I back to some hobby. Got to kickstart a load of dark rituals to start on. Nice one, mate. Peter says we don't talk about Alien versus Predator. Tony saying the Scott brothers are from Teesside. I knew they were northeast, mate, but I wasn't sure whereabouts. Vijay says, had a look at the Drowned Earth website. The factions are a little too disparate for me, I think. Yeah, they're not for everyone, mate. Not for everyone. Sunderland says, maybe you mentioned it before, is there 2-player starter for Malifaux, or do you have to buy 2 factions in the core rules? There's not a 2-player starter set at the moment, mate. You literally buy two kind of core boxes, 2 starter factions. The rules are free online. All of the cards for the models are free online as well. There's an app. I was talking to, I think it was Tim Kelly I was talking about this. Let me show you the app actually on my phone. It needs my face. We'll scroll back here. So if I go back to painting, so on my phone, let me get rid of that light so it's out of the way, and let me focus it in. Good job I haven't got anything too revealing on my apps here. There's an M3E app, and if you load the Crew Builder app up, basically what it does is it has news. If you click on the news, this is all of the different kind of the information that, this is what I mean about how Weird are really good at keeping in touch with people who play their games, but their marketing to people who don't play their games has been a bit lax. All of the stuff here basically like is all the news telling you about new models coming out, etc. Breachside Broadcast is on the app as well, so these are all the kind of the stories that you can listen to. These are all audio stories. There's loads of those on there. Let me go back to go back to home. Then you go to cards. So what you can do is all of the cards for Malifaux 3rd edition. So the one we're looking at tonight, if we go to the Explorers faction, and we go to Lord Cooper. So he's the fellow we've been painting tonight. There's the front of his card with all of his stats and stuff on, and then there's the back of his card. So you don't have to buy the models to be able to get to access the stats and their information. It's all there for you to look at. You can decide whether, I quite like those stats, I think they'll work well in my faction, I'll buy that particular model. So you can do all that, and then what you can do as well is you can go, and there's basically a list builder, so you can actually build your factions here as well. So if I go to let's go add a new one. We'll see this one is Explorer Society, so we'll take Lord Cooper as our leader, select, and then it comes across and it picks up the different things, the models that come with them and stuff like that, and it works out your soul stones and stuff. So that's how you hire your crews. Excuse me. And then you got games here as well. I think this is like when you can track stuff in game. And then you've also got the rules. So the rules for the games here as well. So it has Gaining Ground Season 1 is basically like competitive player. All of the different deployments and stuff. So like it tells you the different deployments for the games. The strategies and the schemes. These are basically like your like the win conditions and stuff. But it also has, which is really interesting, it has the full rules on as well. So you don't need to buy a rule book. It has the full rules in here. All that's missing from this is all of the background stories and information. So all of the rules are here as well that you can go through. So how to play, components, about the cards, how to play the game in bits and pieces. So yeah, so it's you basically need 2 starter factions. You need deck of cards, and the rules are free. There is a 2-player starter set coming out later this year, which is actually Weird Games have another game as well called The Other Side, which is a bit more skirmish, not skirmish style, like small army level game set in the same universe. And the 2-player starter set is going to be usable for both games, I believe. So yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a good starter set. I think the only thing that's delayed it really is I think Weird have delayed it because they know people are not playing games at the moment, so it's not the right time really to launch a new starter set. So I think they're kind of sitting back and hold on that one until it's a time when people are looking to kind of start it up again. Peterson, that reminds me of when English pilots were dressed as French onion sellers in Hello. Yeah. Christian saying I was going to pick up Malifaux the other day, but Goblin Gaming don't appear to stock the rule book. I bought mine from Goblin Gaming, mate. So they should do. I think sometimes it might just be out of stock at the moment. But that was where I bought mine from, mate. So they definitely did stock it. I bought my rule book, my Lady Justice box, and the Rotten Harvest one from there. Let's have a look where else we're up to. Jeffson. Christian Shelling there at Drowned Earth as well. Thank you very much. Smolton, hi, always watching darts. Dimitri van der Burr lost. I don't really know darts players very well, but I quite enjoy the atmosphere of the darts. Bit of chat going on. Peterson, the Reb character Sheo Silverback, and I believe they call Alpha Simians. That's what I was trying to remember, mate. Yeah, I think it is. Bit of chat backwards and forwards from folks there. Lord Maiden was saying if you can find the 2nd edition starter set for 40 quid or less, it's worth it. I had a quick look tonight because we were chatting about that in the Facebook group. I couldn't find anywhere with it in stock now, mate. I think it was released like 4 years ago, so it's probably been out of print for quite some time now. Tim saying that was an awesome app. Why the chuff can't GW do that? I know exactly what you mean, mate. I would say Infinity and Malifaux are probably 2 games that really do show how you can integrate like an app that is useful. You don't have to use it to play the game. You get the cards with the models. It's not like you need it, but it's just really, really useful. The fact that they put all of the news on there as well, the fact that they put all the audio stories on there as well, they're all free as well. You just listen to them. It's not like you have to pay for them to unlock them or anything like that. Everything's free. It's just really, really nicely done. So, how are we doing for time? We've got about 15 minutes, and then we'll probably start to wrap it up a little bit. But let's see how my model's drying out. Is it worth starting to do a bit more, or shall I finish it tomorrow? Let's have a look. So let's zoom a bit. I kind of like how that's looking. Actually, I'm not even sure if I want it. You know what? I'm not even sure if I want to highlight it up. I kind of like the way it looks. I think we'll probably just do the base and tidy up the face and the hair, and I think we'll probably call that one. God, I've never done that before. I've never just washed it and left it. I think it's because I did the Zenithal Prime and I've thinned my paint down better tonight, and because of that, it's already got some kind of shading in there. But I kind of like how it's kind of turned out. Peter Cooman saying, I say leave it at that, chap. I like it. Yeah, I do as well, mate. The hair needs a little bit of work. Let me just, that's it. The hair needs a bit of work. And I'll have to do the base as well, obviously. But, yeah, I think we'll call that one done, mate. And just, yeah, Peter's just said the same thing. Make sure the rest of the band follow suit. I think that's it, mate. As long as I thin the paints down enough. The Zenithal Priming, I think, is really, because obviously you can see how it's darker underneath and stuff. The Zenithal Priming, I think, is doing the work for me. That could really, really speed it up. I might need to do something with those skulls, just a bit of a light dry brush over the top, just to kind of separate them from the shirt, like Krabby was saying. But yeah, Jim's saying maybe a little bit Necron compound on the metals. Yeah, I think maybe just to brighten them up a little touch, give them a bit more of a shine. Let's do that now while we're while we're sitting there rabbiting about it, I'll just get a small dry brush and we'll do that. I do like Necron compound mine, I must say. It's like flipping jelly, but it really does the job when you put it on. So just gives it that little bit of shine. But I'm quite surprised with how easy that was. So there you go, folks. Tip for tonight: thin your paints. It'll help you in the long run. Let's kind of give it a little bit of a just give it a little bit of a shine, just a little bit of an edge. Peter said maybe do a thinned black wash on his hair. I was kind of, yeah, I need to do something with these glasses as well, these like goggle things. I'll probably maybe do a bit of like a blue lens or something like that to them ones, but I'll probably do them off camera so I can sit and do them close. But yeah, the hair needs a bit of work. I've done nothing at all with the hair. That's just a wash over the top of that one, really. So just needs a little bit of darkening down. See the black wash, or maybe let's try a little bit of Northern oil, thinned down. Let me just wash that brush. Just thin that with a bit of water. We can always pull it back if it needs to. It's maybe a bit thin. We kind of use that more. Maybe sort of really lightly dry brush it with like a light grey or something like that, just to give it a little bit more definition. See how that looks tomorrow, I think. Also need to paint the cigar in his mouth. Kind of like, look how that, I like how that's kind of look. It's starting to like darken his hair down, but look like he's got kind of grey flecks in it. I'm liking that. Thank you, Mr. Cooman, for the shout there. Right, we'll let that dry and see how that looks. I think it's kind of, it's got a little bit of a browny tinge to it from the wash. So let's just zoom that in a bit, or focus that one, we should say. Yeah, and just dry brush it, I think, when it's dry, like you say. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. We'll do the goggles, I think, tomorrow. I think we'll very quickly, while we're on, paint his cigar. We'll do that with the dark brown. Here's where it gets interesting. There we go. And I think, folks, we'll probably call that a night for him. I don't want to start the base if I'm not going to finish it, so I think we'll leave that one for tomorrow. But that's not bad for a night's work, is it? Peter says, don't forget the stash. I actually did do it, mate, but I don't think it's... let me see if I zoom in. I don't know if it'll focus. I did do it. You might be able to just see it's a little bit darker. Let me just... There we go. Yeah, that's not a bad shot, actually, so you can see that there. But I mean, it's basic. Let's not kid ourselves. It's pretty basic, but I'm kind of happy. I'll have to kind of pick up the... I'll have to pick up the... what's it called? Like the straps that's holding the skull on. I'll pick them out tomorrow as well. Like that strap across. That's the one I thought was a mold line across the top of that skull head, but it's like a rope thing that's basically tying it down. But I'm kind of happy how that's come out. I mean, you've all just seen me do it. It's literally just base coat and a wash. That'll do me, folks. That'll do me. That'll ding dang do, as they say. So yeah. James saying apothecary white is excellent for greyish hair. Have I got apothecary white? I'm pretty sure I have somewhere. Apothecary white. I must have it somewhere. I've got all the paints. Can't see it actually. I can't even see. Is apothecary white a dry paint? Is it? I've got rack white. Rack white's a bit of a. It's a bit of a creamy white, that one. Oh, you can't see that. That rack. There we go. Zoom, zoom, zoom. That rack white's a bit of a creamy white. It's a apothecary white, the contrast paint. I knew I hadn't recognised the name. Yeah, I've got that made. I might try and run that one over the top. That's probably not a bad shout. Tomorrow when that dries. Adam saying base coat and a wash is where it's at. Do you know this? Do you know what it is, mate? This is kind of the type of stuff that I want to try and show people. Like you don't have to like. You don't always have to edge highlights. You don't always have to kind of like do fancy layers. You don't need to kind of wet blend all the time. Sometimes just doing the basics and keeping them tidy will get you a great looking tabletop mini. And that's my standard basically. That's what I want to kind of show people. And Tony's saying yes, you definitely have apothecary white. I do, mate. It's right there in front of me. There. Now I know where it is. There. Now I know it's a contrast paint. It's weird how it settles out really grey. I must admit. There it is. It settles out really grey, but yeah, let's give it a bit of it. Yeah, that's the fella. Yeah, that'll work a treat tomorrow, I think, and especially with a little bit of black in there as well. It'll just help. It'll help bring it up. I'm happy with that. What a nice way to end the painting year. I'm really, really happy with how that's panned out. I can finish my last chocolate button. Yeah, James is saying it's the one that separates like mad into white and grey. Yeah, that's the one. You're not wrong, mate. Peter saying, yeah, the Chaos Terminators have similar skulls strapped to them. I almost caught a few straps myself. Lord Maiden saying, yeah, I thought as much. It's become as rare as rocking horse poop. Yeah, I think it has, mate. I think they're probably pretty much sold out now. Where are we up to? James is saying you have to shake it for a long time until the bottom of the bottle has no white. I think all contrast paints are like that, to be honest. If you haven't used them in a while, some of them really settle out. I mean, this one's... Let me just... this one's the Iandan yellow. That one's the same. That one really settles out. You can see here as well. Like it almost looks green on the top. I mean, that's just... I think that's where it's... That might be... But yeah, they really do sort of settle out there, but yeah, with a little bit of shaking, a little bit of love, they come back to life. Christian saying, before Andy signs off, I want to say I love this community. Here's to the things that are yet to come and to the memories that we hold. Happy New Year, everyone. Do you know what, mate? Thank you very much. You're a huge part of this community. The things I want everyone to say thank you to Christian as well. He comes into these live streams, he moderates them all. I see all the people that he's banned who've been saying nasty things in the background. You all don't get to see most of that all the time. Not only that, Christian is a huge help to me in the background as well. He's painted stuff for me. He's sent me terrain. He's made me trees for battle reports. Like, he's a huge help. So please, everybody, please do say thank you to Christian. But I echo his comments. Really, I love this community as well. It's not my community. It's nothing to do with this channel. It's you lot. You all come together, and it's always just an awesome place to hang out. There's no bad eggs in it. Everybody just everybody fits in. Everybody's welcome. I don't think there's kind of like a clique or anything like that. I think we're really welcoming to new people. I hope if there's any new people in tonight, they feel that way as well. I just thanks very much. You've made this an awesome year. It might not seem like it when we look at 2020. The things we remember are some of the bad things, but there's been some awesome things about this year. The fact that I got to go full time and do this as my job every day with the help of you lot and the community. The fact that we started doing these hobby hangouts. I'd never done these before. I wasn't that confident painting on stream when I first started. Now I don't really care. The fact that because you support me in the way that you watch my videos and financially with Patreon and stuff like that, it allows us to kind of like say screw it to the YouTube algorithm. You know, it doesn't matter what the subject is. We're going to get together, we're going to hang out, and we're going to do these live streams. I'm not kind of beholden to the clickbait and just covering the same news stories as everybody else. Like this, like the amount of channels that basically did videos about a map being released for the old world for Bretonia, jumping on the latest news kind of thing. When really there's not a lot to talk about. I'm not interested in it, so I didn't make a video about it. But if I had the channel where I was basically sort of clamoring for clicks every day, that's the kind of stuff I'd have to do. It's because of you lot supporting me with and allowing me to kind of do the stuff that I enjoy. That's what makes this enjoyable for me. It's what keeps me coming back every single week. It keeps me interested. It keeps me energized. So thank you so much, folks. I can't say thank you enough. 20 saying he spilled 3/4 of a bottle of Yandan yellow on his cream carpet long ago. Seemed to happen in slow motion. What did I spill? I think I spilled the black one. What's it called again? The Black Templar. And it does happen in slow motion. I think time slows down when that happens. VJ saying to Christian, give yourself a treat and smash that thumbs down. Peter says, you are the engine that runs this site, Christian. Reeves from Captain Andy. Thank you, mate. He certainly is. Clint says, thanks to Christian and Andy, both made 2020 better. I couldn't have made it any worse, mate, let's be honest. Peter says, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I hope we have as much poops and giggles together in 2021. We'll have more next year, mate. Next year is going to be even better. Marcus is saying, cheers to Captain BlackJack. Christian saying, thanks everyone. I appreciate it and very happy to be here. Awesome. Tony saying thank you to Christian as well. Andrew says all this mushy stuff's making me tear up. You're all great. I know I'm not really one for the mushy stuff, but I must admit, like, it is the end of the year. It's been a pretty dull year, to be honest. Like, outside of this stuff, it's been a nice little place to kind of, we talk about the COVID stuff now and again, and we talk about how it's affecting each of us in different ways, but we generally kind of keep it upbeat, and I like that. Peter says, this stream is vital to my sanity, not just entertainment. Thanks to everyone who comes here, and especially those who comment. And of course, Andy and Christian. Thank you, mate. Krabby says, considering I'm pretty much a 40k only guy, I hang around for the people and the banter more than anything else. I think it kind of speaks volumes, mate, really. I mean, there's not many places where it's generally, I mean, we generally don't talk 40k that often. We talk about it when something important comes up. I'm obviously still hugely interested in it, and I'd be a lot more interested in it if I could play some games of it. But you tend to find things become a little bit black and white when it comes to 40k. People are either anti-40k or very pro-40k, and I think this community just appreciates that everybody likes different stuff, and we share what we're talking about. We share the things that we love, and we listen to what other people love as well, and kind of give them the time and the space to talk about what they enjoy. And there's not a lot of places like that, to be fair, when it comes to wargaming. So yeah, I'm hugely appreciative that you're all respectful of kind of each other as well. So thank you. Ortega says thanks to Christian as well. Dirk saying Happy New Year, everybody. Glad about this place. And Lord Mason has been great. Thank you. VG says, have all you folks part of the hobbies only made it all the more interesting, varied, and exciting. Thanks to everyone, and I hope you all have an awesome 2021. And I think, folks, that's probably a perfect place to end this all. So I will say I'll see some of you in the Discord, in the Patreon Discord over the next 24 hours and stuff, to say Happy New Year to you lot as well. But to everybody else who I won't get to speak to, again, thank you for all you've done this year. Happy New Year to you. I hope 2021 brings you health, happiness, or wealth, health, and happiness, and a much better year than this year. And if you're around on Friday night for New Year's Day, we'll have a bit of a fun stream on Friday night as well. So take care, everyone, and I will see you next year. Thanks, folks. Bye now. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.